Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back. So today we're going to talk to you about how to change the sound or tone of your acoustic guitar for under 30 bucks. Now, I've got my Martin OMCX 1KE guitar out because this is one where I've just done a few things to it in the last little bit. The stickers are just for looks. They do absolutely nothing for the tone. They do not add to or take away from the tone. Being on the fretboard, even though we all know that wood is a very critical component for tone in acoustic guitars. So anyways, other things that of course are involved other than the woods and how they're matched and so on is also of course your nut material, your saddle material, your bridge, etc. Okay, and of course your pegs. Now these are not the original pegs. I've swapped these out. These are Taylor ebony pegs. And the saddle is the same, so is the nut. That has not changed other than the saddle height. I've lowered the saddle quite a bit because after playing some chords up in here for a while, I was noticing that the action was just a wee bit too high. It was causing me some interference. So I had to lower the action, and you can do that by adjusting the truss rod, but my neck was fine. So I had to go after the saddle height and shave the saddle down a fair bit. And even though it could go a little teeny bit lower, it's pretty much about where it needs to be. Any much lower and it's going to be too much of a problem, so we're going to leave that now. And besides, I really like the setup now. The string height on this is really amazing. Let's see if I can give you a good shot of that. And you know, so it's very nice heights now. Everything's all golden on this thing. I love it. So if you go back to the original video and probably another video after that with the Martin in it, you'll hear it with Martin SP strings on it, which is generally which got shipped with this guitar. And all the Martin strings are great. They do go dead quicker than most other strings, which is fine, because I do like a deader sounding string. I don't like it too tinny, except for the exception of my Takamine GD30. I wasn't 100% overly excited on the D'Addario that came with it, but I did actually put Elixir Nano Webs, and wow, those things are beautiful. They're bright sounding, but they're also got good bass and metal, bass and mid control as well. So they became a very well balanced string for the Takamine, and just did a wonderful job. And I've since worn them out, so I changed them, and we're back to the D'Addarios on the guitar again. And that's fine. It's good for now, because I really didn't feel like spending out almost $20 for a pack of Elixir Nano Webs. So I've got D'Addarios on here, and these are 12 to 53s. Normally the Martins that I run are 12 to 54. These are 12 to 53s. And these are the phosphor bronze. They call them warm, bright, and balanced tone, and they're the EJ16s. And that's what my Takamine has on it now as well. These are really good strings, really liking them. I'm going to have to stockpile a bunch of them. But I wanted you guys to hear where the difference is. And even putting the ebony pegs in place of the plastic ones. Plastic is brighter. The wood's a little bit more tonally balanced, not so bright, not so dull either, you know. And of course the strings make a huge difference in the sound of your acoustic guitar, other than the woods, the nut, the saddle, etc. Okay, so I'm going to give this thing a little spin for you. Go back and compare my other videos with this guitar running the SP Martin strings on it, and also before the action was adjusted too. For the saddle, and you'll actually hear an amazing difference, and I'm really liking the sound of this. liking the smooth, rich sound. It's got good bass response too. Not an overblasting of the trebles. The mids are nicely balanced. I'm really digging these strings on here. And I think these are going to be the strings that stay with the Martin, because I think they're going to do a really awesome job. Now that's also not the pick I normally use. This, although this is a 46mm pick, or 0.46mm, it's not the one I usually use. It's actually a new one I'm trying out. My wife bought a pack of these for herself and gave me one. This is the pick I usually use, which is a 0.46mm Jim Dunlop, or the matchbook picks, whatever you want to call them. Now some people have asked me, well, why do you use such a thin pick? Well, it's not that thin, it's 0.46mm. I like the sound that these picks actually help create in the guitars, but the biggest reason why is it allows me to play very fast and still keep a bright tone going. The thicker the pick you use, the more duller your sound is going to get. Also, another big reason why I stick solely with 0.46mm is because I'm guaranteed I will never break a string, okay? And I never have ever since I switched to 0.46mm picks. I've literally cut picks, I've worn them out, you know, to the point where they're unusable. I have never destroyed any strings since switching over. And I can play any genre of music, even the harshest of heavy metal, I can play with one of these picks. Because it's not necessarily the thickness of the pick, it's how you hold the pick, and it's also finger control access as well. That's going to give you those deeper, throatier tones on your death metal and stuff like that with all your stuff, you know. If you once you learn how to use a pick in many different ways and learn how to use your fingers along with the pick at the same time, you become pretty skilled at it. And if you do things right, you'll never ever break a string again in your life. And I never have in a couple of decades now, since I swapped over to these picks for the thickness size. So anyways, that's the Martin. Now, this is the one I've done the most changes at. The Takamine, like I said, I've gone back to the original strings. So we're back to the Takamine tone. So if you want to compare when I put the nano webs, I actually have a video about the Elixir nano webs. So look up Elixir nano web on my channel for strings, and you'll be able to hear them on this thing. These are the D'Addario, same ones, 12 to 53. This is a much larger bodied guitar over the Martin as well. And again, that's the pick I normally use. And I actually started punching holes in my picks now, just because it gives me more control over different depths, so I can actually stop it from slipping on me. So that's those. Now, Martin lights, 12 to 54s, that's what's on my Sigma here. And this thing's been hanging on the wall for a while since I last played it, so it's more than likely going to be out of whack a little. Oh yeah, it's definitely out of tune a little bit, so we'll just fire this up. Now, Now this guitar, what I've done to it is I've drastically, and I do mean drastically, shaved the height of the saddle down because it was very, very tall. The only thing, I have one issue with this guitar since brand new, and that's this one peg here. And I think it's a defective hole in there from the factory, but it stays. I don't care. It's playable. Doesn't hurt anything. So that's Martin Lights, and that's what came with this guitar originally. And I'm gonna leave them on here like this. Well, this is actually the second or third string change for these, but I am going to continue with Martin Lights on this because they sound awesome. And this is a copy of a Martin guitar, and this is the DR28L, so a left-handed for the L. Beautiful, beautiful guitar, and straight acoustic only, no electronics in this one whatsoever. Has bone nut, bone saddle. Not sure what the pegs are made out of. I think they're plastic though. I'd like to switch them actually over to bone. That would be one modification I would definitely make. That it's all bone. But yeah, so you can change the sound by changing your string type. Maybe going to a slightly lighter gauge, or maybe if your guitar can handle it, maybe going to a slightly heavier gauge. Although I don't ever recommend heavier than 12 to 53s or 12 to 54s on any acoustic, especially a Martin, except for the last few years. From what I understand, Martin is now designing and building their guitars to handle heavier than 12 gauge strings. They've had a lot of issues over the years with people using much heavier gauge strings, and it does kind of wreck the guitar. Can actually wreck any guitar, really, putting too heavy of a gauge. But I like the light gauges. I run usually 9 to 42s commonly on all my electrics except my SG. My SG actually runs 10s, and those are 9s. I have a pack of SG strings in here somewhere. Yep, 10 to 46, EXL 110s. So that's what I run on my SG. That is the only guitar that gets 10 gauge strings, and I will never change to 9 gauge on it because it has the best tuning stability with the 10s, and also the action is set up beautiful for 10s with that guitar. And I really I love it the way it is. So it's a great guitar. So that one will always get the 10 gauge strings and that brand for as long as they make them, until I may have to switch to something different, but you never know. Anyways, guys, so yeah, pretty simple, easy fix to just change the tone. It can go against you, or it can make things even better. And even Taylor guitars, a lot of them actually, especially the 314 CE, it comes with Elixir Nano Web strings, And really beautiful guitar, beautiful sounding. I would never knock that particular guitar from Taylor. I just, you can't. And a lot of the Taylor guitars are starting to really knock the hell out of Martins, but not all the Martins. Because you see, that's the thing people don't understand is, every company will make some really good guitars in their brand and some really blah, and Taylor is no stranger to that either. They do have some crummy sounding guitars, but they also have some beautiful guitars. Same as Epiphone, same as Gibson, same as everybody, so, but you can just change the tone by changing even just the smallest thing being your strings, which are actually not so small. They are actually a major component to tone, even on electric guitars. So, think about that consideration, that if you're looking for a little bit different sound out of your guitar, it's, for an electric guitar, don't look at your pickups first. Don't even look at the wiring or the pots. Look at your strings first. Try different strings out. That's actually the cheaper route to go than trying to play around with pickups. You know what I mean? And just the strings alone can make a huge difference in how that guitar sounds to you. But anyways, that's enough for today. Thanks for watching. If you're not subbed, please sub, smash that bell. And hey, we'll catch you on the next video. See ya.